Hello, my name is Keshwani. There's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GMAT. We have been solving GMAT math problems out of this book here, the GMAT Official Guide 2022. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. Today we'll solve some problems that you will find on page number 146. But before we begin with page number 146, there were a couple of problems that we did yesterday on page 145 that I skipped by mistake. Number 214 and 215. As you can see, they are already on the blackboard. We're going to take care of those first before we jump into page number 146. So let's take a look at them. Let's take a look at them, shall we? So here are the two inequalities here. We are told that x plus 6 is greater than 10 and x minus 3 is less than 5. Or did I miss something? Less than or equal to 5. That's important here. So let's subtract 6 from both sides here. 6 is going to drop out, and this tells us that x has to be more than 4. So that's the first condition. Here if we add 3 to both sides, this 3 drops out, and this tells us that x is less than or equal to 5. There you go. That's our answer. X has to be more than 4, but not equal to, there is no equal to sign here, but less than or equal to 5. Or rather 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. And that's our answer. Go through the answer choices and you will see that the one that matches is answer choice D. Let's take a look at the next one. Next one is the algebraic problem, but very straightforward one. We are told that David has D books. So David, we have three people, David, Jeff and Paula. David has D books, so that's straightforward. Which we are told, the quantity of books that David has, we are told, is 3 times the number that Jeff has. Well, if David has 3 times the number of books that Jeff has, and if David has D book, Jeff must have D over 3. And then they go on to tell us that and half as many as Paula. David has half as many as Paula. But David we know has D book, and if that amount is half as many as what Paula has, then Paula must have 2 times D. And that's all it is. They're simply asking us to find the total number of books, the expression for it, and here it is. Add them up and that's all it is. We have a 3 here, so I'm going to multiply this by 3 and this by 3. So now we have the same denominator. So create 3D plus D, that's 4D. 2 times 3D is 60. 60 plus 7D plus 3D, that's 10Ds over 3. Follow. And that's all there is. The answer is C. Let's see what we have on the next page, on page number 146. On page 146 we are told, 218, we are told that P over Q is less than 1. And we are also told that they are both positive. P and Q are positive integers. Question simply is, which must be true? So we're not looking for something that may be true on some occasions, under some circumstances. We're looking for something that has to be true all the time. Well, let's see. Since P over Q we are told is less than 1, that in turn implies that P must be less than Q. Or another way of saying is that if P over Q is less than 1, then Q over P must be more than 1. For example, if 3/4 is less than 1, then 4/3 of course has to be more than 1. And the only answer choice that you see there that does the job is E. I'm going to quickly go through one scenario, only one scenario, where this gets tricky, and the conditions that we have to fulfill is that they both have to be positive integers, and that's it. What if, for example, we are told that P over Q is less than 1, what if we put in 1 for P? 1/10 is less than 1. 1/10 is less than 1. If you look at the answer choice D here, answer choice D All the others will not give you trouble. A, B and C will be fine, but if you look at the answer choice D, we have Q over P squared, which is same as Q over P times 1 over P. But the problem that we run into is that if we plug in 1 for P here as we did here, then here we have 1 over, or rather 10 over 1 times 1 over 1, which is more than 1. Which is more than 1. Which is why it's not a good idea to plug in 1, because 1 is a nasty number. 0, 1, negatives, we plug those in quantitative comparison questions, not here. So that's the situation if you happen to plug in 1. Avoid that. Or better yet, don't go into this mumbo jumbo. Just use plain logic. If P over Q is less than 1, then Q over P has to be more than 1. That's all it is. The answer is E. 219. In 219, we are told that we're going to mail a package. We are told that we're going to pay X dollars for the first pound, and then we're going to pay Y dollars for each additional pound. And we are told that X is more than Y. We're going to mail 2 packages. One is 3 pounds and the other one is 5 pounds. And all we are trying to figure out is that how much are we going to save if we were to ship them together as opposed to shipping them separately, because remember, the first pound costs more. So obviously if we ship them separately, the first pound of the second package will end up actually costing us more than the first pound of the second package would have cost us if we had put them together, 2 packages, and ship them together. The question is, how much are we going to save? Well, let's find out. The first pound is X dollars. This is a 3 pound package, which means the remaining 2 pounds are going to cost us Y dollar each. So that's this guy. And the other one we have 5 pounds. So 5 pounds, again, the first pound is going to cost us X dollars. The remaining 4 pounds are going to cost us Y dollars. So this is what we would have paid if we had shipped them separately. If we ship them together, we are looking at 8 pounds. We are looking at 8 pounds together, because we have 3 pounds here and 5 pounds here. So for 8 pounds we will pay X dollars for the first pound, $7, rather Y dollars for the remaining 7 pounds, and this is what we'll end up paying together. So let's first figure out what this is. So here we have, shipping them separately, we'll have 2X and 6Y. And this is what we'll pay if we pay them, if we ship them together, which is of course lesser amount. And we're looking for the difference. How much are we going to save? Well, subtract it. 2X minus X is X, and 6X and a negative 7Y is going to give us Y. There you go. We're going to end up saving X minus Y dollars if we were to ship them combined. That's all it is. Obviously we're going to save X minus Y dollars, because X is what it costs for the first pound. If we ship it separately, second package that is, if we ship it together with the first package, the first pound of the second package is only going to cost us Y pounds, or Y dollars rather. So we're going to save X minus Y dollars. Number 20. Number 220 has to do with something called rule of 70. Rule of 70 goes something like this. Rule of 70 is an approximation. What it says is that the number of periods it takes for something to double is approximately equal to 70 divided by R, where R is the rate of growth, per period. For example, if you have a bacteria in a dish, if you had a bacteria in a dish, and we are told that it is growing at 10% per hour, if the population of bacteria, we are told, is growing at 10%, or rather 10% per hour, not per year, per hour, then the population of bacteria will not take 10 hours to double in population because of the compounding. Because of the compounding effect, this population will double in its population, in its number, in approximately 7 hours, not 10 hours. Similarly, if you have a country and we are told that the population of the country, if you're told that the population of a country is growing at about 2% per year, if the population of a country is growing at 2% per year, it may not sound like a lot, but it is a lot. Why it is a lot? Because at 2% a year, a population growing at 2% a year does not take 50 years to double in size. It takes only about 35 years. Because it is just simply 70 divided by rate of growth. 70 divided by 2 is 35. Every 35 years, the population is going to double in size. In other words, the population of a country that is growing at 2% a year, 2% a year, in 70 years, its population will quadruple. It will double in 35 years, and in the other 35 years, it's going to go from double to quadruple. It is growing astronomically. Oh, we still haven't gotten to it. So here we have an investment. I thought we were done. I thought I was done with my sermon. So here we have an investment. We are told that it is growing at 8% per year. 8% per year, which is 72 divided by 8. If you approximate, 72 divided by 8 is 9, which means that it doubles your investment. If it is growing at 8% a year, your investment will double every 9 years. And the question now is, how much my investment would be in 18 years? Makes you wonder why they give you 18 years and not 20 years, because you see 9 and 18. So for example, if we invested $1, this is the time period, one time period, first time period, second time period. For example, if we invested $1 to start out with, in 9 years' time, you see it is per time period. Here our time period is a period of 9 years. 9 years here qualifies as a period. So if you invest $1, in 9 years' time, your $1 will become $2, growing at 8% a year. And in another 9 years, that $2 will become $4. We are not investing $1, we are investing $5,000. So multiply everything by 5,000, and turns out that your initial $5,000 investment in a matter of 18 years will have become quadruple the amount, $20,000. Number 221. Number 221. In 221, we are told that we're going to drive we drove 290 miles. But here's the but part, but this figure that you see there is rounded to nearest 10. And we also told that we burned 12 gallons in the journey, which is also, we are told, is rounded to the nearest gallon. The question simply is, what is our actual mileage? Miles per gallon. What kind of mileage did we get having done this journey, if that's the case here, that we drove approximately 290 miles, rounded to the nearest 10, and we burned about 12 gallons, again rounded to the whole gallon. We're going to have a range for our mileage. from the worst case scenario to the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is where we drove the least number of miles. Since we are rounding it to 290, the lowest miles that we could have driven is 285. Because had we driven 285 miles, that figure of 285 would have been rounded upwards to 290. Here is the case where we drove the least number of miles. Here is the case where we drove the most number of miles. At 295 miles again will be rounded to 290. And number of gallons. So here we drove the least number of miles and burned the most gas. The most gas that we're going to burn is 12.5 gallons. Because a gallon, if we burn 12.5 gallons, it will be rounded to 12. Or maybe we burned only 11.5 gallons. That will also be rounded to 12. And there you go, that's our range. That's what it is, there's nothing to do here. That's our range, that's the answer. Go to the answer choices and see the one that agrees to it. And I see here 285 divided by 12.5, 295, 11.5. The answer, it looks like, is D. But there's nothing here to do. Number 222. So we have to look at the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is where you drove the most number of miles, rounded to 290, and burned the least amount of gas. That's the best case scenario because that's where you're going to have the highest mileage, miles per gallon. That's where you'll have the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is where you burned the most gallon, which is 12.5, and drove as little as possible, having rounded to 290, which is 285. I'm explaining the whole thing again. I don't know why. 222. Here we are given a number line that looks something like this. This is -5, we are told. This is +3. This is 0. Let's make sure that I did not. Yeah, that's exactly what it showed us. -5 to +3. -5 to +3. And if you notice, both of these things are solid. Which means what we're looking for is something that is greater than or equal to -5 or less than or equal to +3. That is what we are looking for. And it has to it has to include the equal signs in both cases because these are both closed. The intervals of the interval is closed on both ends. We have 5 choices. Let's go through one by one and see which one works. A and B are quite straightforward. Answer choice A says that +x is less than or equal to 3, which is not going to work because what this gives us is that x is going to be greater than or equal to -3 or greater than or equal to +3. This is what it's going to work. And as you can see, this is -5 and +3. This part is 5, but this is -3. It does not work. B is not going to work for the same reason. We are told that the absolute value of x is less than or equal to 5, which means it falls between -5 and a +5. That's not going to work. We are between -5. Again, -5 works, but it goes up to +5. This only goes up to +3. Let's look at C. I'm going to erase A and B so that it doesn't get too crowded. And we're going to work through C, D, and E until we get lucky. C says that x minus 2, absolute value of x minus 2 has to be less than or equal to 3. Let's see what we can do. If that's the case, then what we find here is that if that's the case, then x minus 2 would have to be either greater than or equal to -3 or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to +3. It falls between these two things. We're not interested in the quantity x minus 2. What we're interested in is x. So let's get rid of this -2. We get rid of -2 by adding +2 to all of this thing. This goes away, and what this tells us is that x has to be between -1 and a +5. Again, +5 is fine, or rather no, it's not, because that's 3, that's 5 was over there. It doesn't work. We have a -1 to +5, this is -5 to +3. It does not work at all. It doesn't work on either end actually. Let's look at D. I'm going too casually. But D says that x minus 1 absolute value is less than or equal to 4. Let's see what we can do. Again, what this tells us is that x minus 1 has to be greater than or equal to -4 or less than or equal to +4. Let's add 1 to both sides, or rather all sides. not both sides, all three sides, and we end up with negative 3 x. Oh, what do you know? Oh, no, it's the opposite. I thought we got it. Negative 3, this is, the numbers are reversed. This is negative 3, this is negative 5, this is positive 3, this is positive 5. They're just playing games with that. The answer is E. How do I know the answer is E? Because I'm bloody psychic. Let's look at E. E says x plus 1 is less than or equal to 4. Is that what it says? Yes. Let's see what we can do. Which means that x plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to negative 4 or less than or equal to positive 4. Let's subtract rather 1 from everywhere. There you go. Here is our negative 5 and here is our positive 3. This is going to drop out. X is greater than or equal to negative 5 and less than or equal to positive 3. Voila. The answer is E. I told you I'm bloody psychic. You didn't want to believe me. Number 223. We are told that the average of 10 numbers is 400. We are also told that the average of 6 of them is 360. The question is, what is the average of the other 4? Let's see what we can do. So we have 6 numbers here. So first thing I'm going to do is they're talking about 400 and 360. I'm just going to deal with 40 and 36. Which means that the answer that we get at the end, we're going to have to multiply that by 10 because we're taking 1/10 of everything. I don't want to carry this 400 business. So listen very carefully, okay? So if there are 10 numbers, and we are told that 6 of them have an average of 36, the easiest, the quickest, the smartest, the most economical way of making sure that the 6th number that you pick have an average of 36 is to make every one of them 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guarantee you that the average of this 6th number is 36. How do I know that? Because I'm bloody psychic. Now here we have 4 of them. X, X, and X, and X. To start out with, I'm going to pretend that all of them are 40. But as you can see, that's not going to work. That's not going to work because all of these are 40, all of these are 36. The average of this is 36, the average of that is 40. That's not going to give us the overall average of 40. Which means we have to make all of these 40. We have 4 short here, we have 4 short here, we have 4 short here. We are short 4 times 6. There are 6 of them there, and they are all of them short by 4, and there are 6 of them there. Which means that this deficit of 24 has to be accounted for here. In other words, if the sum of these 4 is 4 times 40, which is 160, plus 24, that should do the job. In other words, if the sum of these 4 numbers happens to be 184, we are in business. We have to figure out what is the average of these 4 numbers. All you have to do is take 184, divide by 4. 16 is made up of 4. After we take away 16 from the 18, we have a remainder of 2. 2 goes into as a 4, becomes 24. 24 is made up of 6, 4. Voila. So the answer is 460. Because we took the 1/10 of everything. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to do it classically. Solve it algebraically, classically, which is not that difficult. We have 10 numbers, we are told, and their average is 40. And that has to equal to the 6 numbers whose average is 36 plus other 4 numbers whose average is x, and our job is to figure out the x. It's very straightforward, very simple. Just divide everything by 4. This is going to go away. Divide by 4, so this 0 goes away. So here we have 40. Here we have 9 6 54. That's not a 40. We divided by 4. Let me start again. This was 40, and we divided by 4. 4, we got rid of this 4, we got rid of this 4, we divide this by 4, this becomes 110. And here we end up with 100, because now it makes sense, because I was freaking out why this number was getting bigger than this. 996 was 10 6 or 60, so 96 must be 54. Therefore x is going to be 100 minus 54, 100 minus 54, 100 minus 50 is 50, 100 minus 54 is going to be 46. Voila, what do you know? Same as before. That was the end of that page. We're going to stop right here. We will meet again tomorrow, and we're going to pick up from where we left off. In the meantime, if you wish to get hold of me, if you would like to work with me, if you would like me to help you prepare for the exam, go to my website at keshwaniprep.com, and from there you'll be able to send me an email, or if you wish you can subscribe to my videos for online tutoring, either in person myself or through my videos. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.